Hey, howdy, and a big welcome back to Yak City Gaming here on Clemhawks, everybody. I'm Yak, and I'm ready to get into this. You know what? This is only, let's check the watch, about 17 days late at this point, but we're going to sit down and we're going to get going with it. The Toronto Blue Jays franchise mode, at long last, is ready to set sail here on Clemhawks. Because let me tell you, you know what? I was up in my hometown doing some broadcasting, calling some hockey, having a good old Canadian spring, doing some provincial hockey here for a couple of organizations, and got treated to a wonderful weekend up in my hometown. However, the problem became is that was also launch weekend for MLB The Show. So while Clem was pounding out the videos down here and getting it going for us, I was up there calling hockey over on my own channel. So what do you do? However, we find ourselves now getting into this Toronto Blue Jays franchise mode. You've seen enough of what I'm bringing to the channel already, so let's get to it. The Blue Jays, GM contracts absolutely on. Everything else, CPU trading on. Ignore budgets, forced trades, designated hitter on. Extra inning runner. Good to go. That all looks swell and dandy to me. So, development tasks, yes, we'll leave the development tasks to the auto manage, and then the manager tasks we will set to manual for now. Because obviously I'd like to have say over contracts, free agency, all that, and of course we'll get into live streams and stuff like that as we go into the year. But for right now, we'll start right away with the regular season. I don't think really there's much else to be figured out about the Toronto Blue Jays that we don't already know if you watch the Jays at all, so I'm not going to even waste your time trying to go through spring training and get that going. So lineups look as such, right? Bo Bichette leading off at 87 overall. Ramel Tapia at 79. Vladi Guerrero Jr., you got George Springer, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Teoscar Hernandez, Matt Chapman, Reese McGuire, who we will have to trade out of here for none other than Zach Collins. That'll be a big time move to get this going first thing. And then Kevin Biggio in there behind McGuire in the 9 spot for right now. Espinal, Gabriel Marino, and Jansen on the bench as it currently sits. Now, Jansen, I want in the lineup. Why? Because he develops beautifully in this game. We've run enough simulations with whether it be Jason Dominguez or whether it be Bobby Witt Jr. to see what Danny Jansen turns into, and why not with that kind of power? Why couldn't he turn into that 85 overall player that we've seen him become a couple of times over now? So that's the lineups. The pitching rotation looks as such, and it's pretty solid, right? You got Kevin Gausman, Alek Manoah, Jose Berrios, Hyunjin Ryu, and of course Yusi Kikuchi. So you've got quite a few guys in there. You got Bowden Francis on the bench there. In the bullpen, Adam Simber, and just the usual suspects. This bullpen is not a bullpen that's going to go out there and win us games. But for right now, we're going to see how it goes, see what happens, kind of understand the way of the land, and see what this team is capable of out of the gate. So like I said, the first thing we got to go do is kind of take a look at the free agents, right? We could sign Trevor Rosenthal, we could sign Michael Conforto, we could sign Kim, we could sign a lot of guys to be impact players here in this squad for us if we really wanted to, but we aren't going to do that. It just does not fit with the program I'm trying to run here first thing, so we'll get to the trades and go make the trade first off. So let's get over to the catchers. That's where we got to go starting off. Reese McGuire to the White Sox for Zach Collins. I believe he should be there somewhere. Zach Collins, B62 overall. Quite honestly, that's where we're going first. Just a big move that the Blue Jays made, and it's turned out well in real life, so we'll make it in the MLB The Show 22 first roster move we make. So that now allows us to kind of set things up here. And the big beauty part of this is Gabriel Marino is going to come out and start for us as a catcher, right? This is kind of going to be the differentiation from this real season, is he's going to come in and actually get to be a full-time member of this Blue Jays squad right out of the gate, as opposed to having Zach Collins in there as the backup catcher. And you look at this, Blue Jays catching depth, not looking too bad at all, right? Chris Beck in there, that I think there's some generated prospects where I'm really not too familiar with any of these names, so maybe I'm incorrect on that, but you get where I'm going with that. We're kind of loaded on the catching depth right now. In terms of first base, we don't really have anyone that's going to come out and steal the jobs. Samad Taylor in there at 75 overall, Rafael Antiguga, Gosuke Katoa in there at 66 overall, Otto Lopez in there at 61 overall. So there's a couple of guys in there that we could see kind of rise up in case of injury. Santiago Espinal, Josh Fuentes in there at 72 overall. He'll be our AAA guy. Miguel Geraldo. There's a couple of guys that I kind of recognize names of. Or Elvis Martinez. This is going to be the kid to watch. This is the guy that we kind of got to watch coming up in our system here in real life, and of course in MLB The Show as well. As you see Martinez down there in AA, but Grosjean's up there in AAA, and look at these stats. Not really that fancy at all at 60 years overall, 22 years of age, but at an A potential, he should grow pretty phenomenally quick for us, so I'm looking forward to that. In left field, there's really nobody that's going to come out of the woodwork and become a full-time player for us, and same thing in center field and right field, so that's a little bit of a disappointment. However, we do have Dexter Fowler here who will be of use if we need him down the stretch. And then, of course, in terms of bullpen stuff, you got Nate Pearson at 67 overall. He's very likely to develop into at least a serviceable bullpen arm. And other than that, there's Adam Kloffenstein, who's going to be there for us as well at some point in his career. And then in the bullpen, right, you got Baraki as a B potential, but nothing really further than that. And you got Andrew Vasquez, who they are just absolutely giving no credit to. Despite his effort in AAA, they're giving him an F potential at 28 years old. That I find interesting myself. And then David Phelps and Jackson Rees in there as your depth bullpen arms. So do we have any real options besides what we've already got in the bullpen? Not really, and that's kind of the troublesome part here. Is it's kind of ride or die with this Jays pitching staff, or we're going to have to make a trade somewhere along the way to pick an arm up. I mean, we got a lot of players on this roster, right? We've got a total of, where do I see it, 93 players on the roster. So obviously we got room to work with, that's for sure. And in Class A, right, you got all these guys here other than Miguel Geraldo, who's there at B potential, and then you got Adam Kloffenstein in there. And that's really all we've got for depth anywhere in the system. You could bring up Samad Taylor to be an excellent piece, but he's only really got speed at 75 overall and D potential. So we've got some moves to be made here, but the number one thing I'd like to do is set up some sponsorship stuff first off. So let's get in that. And this one we will go 3,500, actually 15,000 per game. That'll allow us to get that going. View budget. So you're going to see kind of what the budget looks like. The contracts are pretty massive right now for the Blue Jays. Gausman, Ryu, and Springer, and then all of a sudden Dexter Fowler somehow at a $16.5 million contract. Maybe we'll have to find a trade for him or just let him retire after this season. You got Kikuchi in there at 13.7, Matt Chapman at 12.5. You got Jose Berrios at 12.4 and escalating up as he goes along. Teoscar at 10.6, Vladi at 7.9, Yimi Garcia at 5.0. So you kind of see this is not exactly working. Available budget though, we've got $44 million to play with, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. Team revenue is pretty good right now, so not worried about it too much. And on the trade block, like I said, we got to kind of go out there and add Dexter Fowler to the trade block, I think. And we'll try and add at the same time that young guy. Where was he? Second baseman, right? Why do I not see him on here? I thought I'd see him there, but I don't. Am I missing him? Santiago Espinal? I guess I am completely missing him, but it just is what it is at this point. So, you know what? That's kind of where we find ourselves, right? We're kind of sitting here looking for prospects as well. We'd like to really go out there and earn some prospects that are going to be kind of, how do you say it, impact players for us right away. And you look at this, there's a closing pitcher, Jimmy Luke, that we could take care of. He's got full accuracy, 80 overall potential kind of deal. Everything's pretty good there in terms of arm strength's decent, arm accuracy's decent. You've got speed's decent, you've got stamina's alright, hits per nine's alright, everything's pretty much 70s across the board. Can't complain too much about that. Quentin Bush looking not too bad overall, 65 overall right now, potential 80 overall. So these guys are sitting in here as impact players right out of the gate. 75 contact, 80 contact, 50 power, 55 power, vision, fielding. Like, this is all fantastic kind of numbers here for this kid right now. And I mean, speed's only a 50, but what do you do? And you kind of see as well, there's also Grady James, and there's a couple of great names. So we just have to more or less just kind of write some of these names down as the season goes along and make sure we're paying attention to things as it goes. So let's just kind of take a second here to make sure that's all in order, and I want to make sure those ducks were checked off. So obviously our first series will be against Baltimore, and then realistically the whole season truly gets underway with the schedule starting against the Texas Rangers on April 8th. So this is what I'd call garbage time against the Orioles and Tampa Bay Rays for us, because this isn't the true season that we've come to see due to lockout. However, right, it is what it is. So kind of want to, do I want to get into opening day? We're already 10 and a half, 11 minutes into this franchise episode 1. So we'll kind of save opening day for a little bit later. You know what? We got time. Let's get into it. View organizations games. Let's go play this one. Kevin Gausman on the mound. We'll player lock here. Simply put, as none other than Vladi Guerrero Jr. I don't think there's anyone else to player lock for as the Blue Jays to start the regular season. So let's get into it, shall we? Big old opening day. Vladi Guerrero Jr. trying to go off and send this team into La La Land to win the first game of the season. And well, unfortunately, unlike the Oilers, they don't have a song that they play like La Bamba when the Oilers win. So we'll find out. Maybe the Blue Jays do. Maybe just being uninformed, not following social media as best I can. Maybe the Blue Jays do. Obviously, they have the home run jacket that gets us going, but right now it's going to be on the mound. John Means to start things off, and it'll be Vladi Guerrero Jr. And for some reason, I'm on directional hitting, so that's really interesting. We're just going to take a ball here with a runner at first and one in already. So John Means is going to throw this one down the plate. Oh, nope, never mind. I'm going to absolutely lace that past the shortstop into left field for a base hit. All right, Vladdy, 1 for 1 to start the year. Let's go with an RBI. Let's get it going. That's not bad at all, as Vladdy goes in there and absolutely smacks the ball to left field. Not meaning to. I did not mean to whatsoever. So let's change the batting zone to strike zone 2 and hitting dynamic. Let's go rookie. Just keep it casual. Let's have a little bit of fun. And of course, we'll change it to zone as well. And just change the RTTS throwing interface to buttons, because you do not want to see me try and use Showtime, that's for sure. So Vladdy up here in a 3-2 count to George Springer, who's going to absolutely nail one to the center fielder. So we'll run back and get back to first base right now, as we don't want to get caught doubled up. So now it's up to Teoscar Hernandez to try and get us a base hit here. You can see I'm doing this in-game stuff in franchise mode for the first time this year, so that's why it's giving me all the tips and tricks. And right there, that's going to be ball 2 to Teoscar, who's got 108 career homers to start the year, so I imagine what's he got, 110 now. And here we go. Let's go. This one's going to go to the short or second baseman, who's going to get in there, and that will end the first inning. So Vladdy gets going with a 1 for 1 start to his season. And now we're going to get disable all batting tips. We don't need batting tips here. And Vladdy's going to step up there and try and crank his first homer of the season. Oof. If I wasn't early on that, let me tell you, we would have done something there. That was looking like a perfect swing to take deep from John Means. And this one's going to be instead a lazy fly ball. Oh, maybe. Nope. Oh, all the way to the warning track almost. Dead center at Camden Yards. Vladdy flies out. That would have been beautiful if we could have nailed that one. However, Vladdy's going to get a chance at first base now. A 3-2 count, up 3-0 in the bottom of the fourth. Gausman pitching a gem, and this one's going to come right down to Vladdy, who's going to make no mistake. Off to first base we go, and that, my friends, is out of the inning right there. We get 155 for that outing. And now, no more power swing, up 6-0 in the top half of the 5th inning. And this one's going to go inside on a curveball from DL Hall, who I think if you've kind of watched MLB The Show Twitter, this guy is the worst pitcher in Road to the Show in franchise mode. And again, right there, that's that pitch I'm looking for. It's just coming in a little slower than I think I'm estimating early on in this franchise mode. That one, slider, pulled the string. I thought it was another fastball, kind of giddied up a little bit, too giddy up fast, and hooked that one very early, foul again. So let's take this one, an 0-2 count, and let's just take that ball. We don't need to go chasing that. DL Hall now in a 2-2 count to Vladi Guerrero Jr. here. And a 6-0 with a man at second, and nobody out in the inning. Too much going on here. Too much to focus on. Vladi, who's 1 for 2 here in 2 plate appearances so far. And oh baby, did he just do it? Foul ball. I wanted that one bad. I thought when that animation started coming up, she was at least a double. And instead, I'm going to pop that one up. That's the first good timing I get. It's going to advance the runner, however, to third base, and maybe not, as he's going to get in there safe at third. So Vladi gets the sacrifice, gets it done. So far, batting 1 for 3 with a single and an RBI, and it looks like everybody else on the team's having a day except for Vladi, so why don't we try and get out there? And again, that fastball coming in at 96 mile an hour. I don't know what it is about rookie mode this year, but my goodness, it is brutal to try and catch up to a fastball. Good timing. I'm jumping every time, and there we go. I just missed a sinker. Just did not move the PCI, and that's going to cost me, and they're going to advance the runner again to third base. So Vladi's being productive. Can't blame him. He's moving runners, batting in a couple of runners, and here in the 8th inning, he's going to get a chance to go 2 for 5. And now I'm chasing curveballs in the dirt. Yeah, that's the way she be now. That is just very typical me. And this is going to be absolutely roped, but welcome to MLB The Show 22 on a line to the shortstop for another out. So Vladi 1 for 5 on the day with a couple of sacrifice flies that don't get counted as sacrifice flies, and a single that doesn't get counted for much. And this one, he's got to get to the bag here, and he's going to be late getting there. So, oh boy, right now the Orioles, a little bit of late life here. However, this game finishes up 11-0, 15 hits, and an opening day shutout for Kevin Gausman, who finishes this one up. 4 hits, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts. Big game debut for Kevin Gausman with the Toronto Blue Jays. And my goodness, don't you like to see that? Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's all. I'm Yak. This is Clemhawks. And that was a heck of a start to our Toronto Blue Jays franchise mode. An 11-0 beatdown of the Baltimore Orioles. You'll love to see it. We get a little bit of franchise mode XP there. And we get going with a big-time debut for Kevin Gausman. Bo Wright 750. Big-time Romel Tapia. How about that? 7 RBIs and 5 at-bats. 1 RBI for Vladi. George Springer 0 for 5. 1 for 3 for Gurriel. 2 for 5 for Teoscar. 1 for 5 for Chapman. Danny Jansen goes in there and doesn't get going. And Kevin Biggio doesn't bat either. You've got Alejandro Kirk, who goes in there and has a 1 for 3 night. And then, yes, Santiago Espinal goes 3 for 3. What a start to this franchise mode. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Yak. Like I said, you have a great night. I'm going to catch you in the next episode. So long.